Okay. Sorry.
That's okay. Well, welcome everyone to our winter 2024 online virtual general membership meeting. Um, just quickly, we'll introduce people. Our executive committee consists of Kathy Battles from Communications and Journalism, Jacob Becker from Sociology, Anthropology, Social Work, and Criminal Justice, Bernadette Donahue, our special lecturer from Modern Languages and Literature, Helen Levison from the University Library, Molly McGuire, also from the University Library, Sarah Newton from the School of Nursing, Lori Arstergaard from Writing and Rhetoric, Caitlin Dembski is our vice president from the School of Business Administration, Shaturi Edricina is our assistant grievance officer from School of Education and Human Services, Francine Geis is our contract officer from SBA. Joy Jiang is our treasurer from SBA. Jennifer Thor is our grievance officer from SBA. Karen Miller is our past president from History. Of course, Amy Pollard, our executive director, and I am Mike Latcha from Engineering Computer Science. I am the current president of the chapter. Our first order of business really is a report from the nominations committee for the open executive committee positions. And I believe Lori is going to take this.
Hi, all. So we have 3 at-large seats open on the executive committee and 7 nominees for that position or for those positions. And the nominees are Austin Murphy, Sarah Newton, Kathy Battles, Tony Glover, Dan Della Vescovo, Jim Nugent, and Shavi Govind. We also have 2 candidates for vice president, and those nominees are Caitlin Dembski and Wendy Johnson. The nominations committee would like to thank all of these wonderful folks for being willing to serve in these important roles. And I'll turn it back to Mike because we're going to be taking some nominations from the floor as well.
Thank you, Lori. Yes, if there's anyone in the meeting here that would like to nominate yourself from either of the vice president or the at-large positions, please feel free to do so now, or you could nominate someone else, understanding that they would have to accept that nomination. Going once, twice. Hearing none, we can declare nominations closed for these positions. Voting should begin Monday, and look for email ballots as usual. And thank you for that.
Can I just remind candidates, if there's any candidates in the room right now, if you haven't sent your personal statement that you want on the ballot to the bargaining, or not the bargaining team, the nominations committee, we need that done because we're going to put the ballot together by the end of this weekend. And so we need a blurb if you want one on there.
Thank you. In terms of chapter issues, I'm pleased to introduce Sarah Keeler, our communication director. Excuse me. She is a labor union organizer, communications coordinator, and political activist. Sarah has specialized in solidarity work, political action, and community engagement throughout her experiences organizing around U of M labor. She holds a degree in behavioral sciences from the University of Michigan. In her free time, she enjoys film, pinball, and shenanigans with her ferret. She will be working with us throughout bargaining, leading a team of faculty volunteers. And with that, I would like to request that anyone interested in joining the bargaining communications team, email your interest to Amy by April 8th. We are, again, putting together this team. This team will be doing things like researching various topics in order to put out press releases, to be talking to the media, things like that. And the more people we can gather on this team, then the lighter the work is on any individual, except of course Sarah, who will be coordinating all of it.
I'll-
Go ahead.
I'll send out an email about that either later today or tomorrow so that there's something in writing for everybody to reference.
Thank you. Any other questions on the bargaining communication team or Sarah? Okay. We do have a bargaining kickoff event coming up on April 16th from noon to 1 p.m. in the OC, in the banquet rooms A and B. We will have food, some swag, some motivational speeches. We'll have the new Oakland AAUP t-shirts. Everyone is welcome to this event. Students, faculty, staff, family, Barretts, everyone can show up and lend your solidarity. It's going to be, we have not done this before, have a kickoff event for bargaining. It sounds like a great deal of fun, and that's what we intend it to be. In addition to being everyone together in the same room and showing our support and our solidarity for this massive effort that's coming up over the summer.
Progress.
Mike, I accidentally muted you. Can you stop? I was trying to mute someone else who hopped into the meeting and I muted you. Sorry.
Okay. Okay. Over the last year, AAUP has filed several grievances on behalf of the membership, asserting contractual rights of shared governance. And this has really been our focus over the last almost 2 years now. Grievances have been filed about constitution and bylaw shared governance issues in the College of Arts and Sciences and the School of Business Administration and the School of Nursing. Multiple grievances in each one of those. We've also filed grievances on behalf of shared governance that impact all faculty, such as our current grievance regarding Oakland's unilateral decision to begin using Glean software in our classrooms for student note-taking. Please keep bringing these issues to our attention, and we will continue to explore solutions with the administration and grieve where we need to in order to protect shared governance and other of your rights. Which really brings us to the new business part of the meeting. This is your opportunity to either raise issues, bring other subjects to our attention. So I will open this to anyone who wishes to speak. Sort of like being in class. Shumi.
Hi, Mike. I came late. I'm giving an exam. So do you have any updates? Maybe I missed it. Of course, Brett is leaving before the negotiations start. So it's going to have an implication with the new person being, like, for example, if Josh Marchant is appointed for provost.
I can't see how that would impact bargaining. No. Typically the provost has very little to do with bargaining.
Okay.
So I don't see that being an issue.
Okay, because
The associate provost, Nivedita, is on the bargaining team. So
I know, but I was just thinking the provost, I mean, what she said in the chairs meeting, she was for us, you know, she said we can open up dialogues and things like that from the faculty standpoint. But since she's leaving and there will be somebody new and we are in the bargaining, if that will affect what we are asking and things like that, because she's the chief officer of academic affairs, and we report to her indirectly. So that's why I'm asking.
I honestly cannot see a reason why that would change anything that we were that is currently being planned. If it needs to change, then it'll change.
Okay.
I see a question from Kira about the Glean software. Yes, there's the issues in the Glean software. There are several questions. There's several issues concerning the Glean software. First of all, we know now that the Dean of Students office decided unilaterally and without asking faculty to substitute this software for student note takers. Digging into how the software works and the protections for faculty intellectual property and for the other students in the classroom during the recording, those seem to be either minimal or non-existent. Those are significant issues with us, as is essentially the dean of students office is telling us how we are to accommodate these students in our classroom, and unilaterally doing that. Those are the basis of the grievance that we filed. We tried, once we found out about the issue, we tried to reach out to several people within Oakland to see if we could open a dialogue and perhaps resolve, the issues surrounding the use of this software. We were run around back and forth between DSS and the Dean of Students office and academic affairs. No one seemed to know anything about this software. And eventually we had to file a grievance to protect your rights and the timeline. Amy and I actually met with several members of the administration yesterday. And one of the reasons was to see if we could explore some way to resolve this. And we were told in no uncertain terms that we could not resolve it at that meeting, that the grievance had been filed and that has to run its course. Which was very interesting because I have never heard this before from a member of Oakland. So it is running its course. If Jen Thor is here, she can speak to where we are in that grievance procedure.
Jen is not here. She's on
Jen
vacation,
is not here.
but
Okay.
she does have a meeting. Their step one response isn't due until after that meeting we had yesterday, but I know she's speaking with Eric about something else on Monday. So basically we're waiting for their step one response and then we'll have a step two meeting.
Okay. Awesome.
Hi, Mike.
Hi.
My question is about the retirement system that we are switching to. Did I miss it at any point in time? We were given an option to choose whether the faculty really wanted this switch, or
No.
was it just, yeah, that's what I'm feeling. And, I was really shocked on such an important issue that really impacts the faculty. We were given no say on this.
Amy, do you want to take this?
Sure, I'll take it.
Okay.
I mean, the contract doesn't protect that. The only thing it says in the contract is that we have a non-voting person on I forget the name of the committee. The reason this change actually came about has to do with a legal change several years ago that basically said companies have to do a better job of protecting employees' retirement benefits. And then as a result of that law, several employee groups, including faculty groups at certain universities, sued their employers because they weren't doing enough due diligence. And so the reason they've moved to this single record keeper is in response to that, sort of almost to kind of avoid getting sued. And this was the pathway they chose. It's a really common pathway. We've seen it at lots of other universities. We objected as much as we could along the way to how they conveyed the information, to how they related to faculty, to the timeline. And all the town halls, all that increased because of our sort of complaints, and the information that came out was hopefully better than it would have been. But we did not have a contractual control. We didn't have control over that. At this point, I have some faculty telling me that they think the change is for the better for them. I have other faculty telling me that it is not for the better for them. So, I mean, I definitely feel like people should be sharing if they're having problems with the changes that are happening.
Amy, if this is really to better protect the faculty rights, why not the administration just allow the faculty to make the decision, present them what are the options, and let people decide if it's their better interest or not?
I could not answer that for you. I think the university did this very much as a CYA, and that they can point legally to the fact that they have these systems in place that are sort of quote unquote best practices.
This was really shocking to me because we're talking about shared governance. If I have no say on my personal retirement contributions, what are we talking about the shared governance here? I don't really understand it. Thank you so much.
Well, there isn't no say, right? I mean, there's still multiple ways to invest this money. TIA is the record keeper, but there is still ways to funnel your money into different funds and whatnot. I'm not going to even pretend to articulate it. I'm sure there's people in this room who could articulate it better than I can. But I know it is, we aren't limited to TIAA.
Yeah, I'm aware of the investment options, but we are really limited in terms of where we can invest. And more importantly, we don't have control on the fee. So we are really forced onto something that I would normally would not prefer.
Yeah,
Well, one of the things that is in fact present now is that fee that you're paying is in fact now transparent. It was not before. And the reason it was not before is because we were paying retail rates for the investment vehicles that we were purchasing, and those fees were built into those rates. Now we are paying what are called, now I'm going to blank on it. We're paying institutional rates, and they do not include the fees. So they have to list the fees separate. So you can now choose your investment vehicles, if you wish, by the amount of fee that you have to pay in order to purchase that. You could not see that level of detail before. Sumi?
yeah, I kind of go with support Osama in this statement. So there was a committee made of faculty to review this. Their input was taken by OU or not?
No, that is not a fair assessment. There was a committee, an advisory committee. I think it's called the Investment Advisory Committee, and we were allowed to have one non-voting member on it. And basically, they were told it was happening, and they relayed that information to us. And then we were able to sort of start objecting as best as we could, but there was not a real dialogue. Ken Mitten might be able to.
Yes, he is on. He's on. If he could shed some light on this.
Yeah, there was a cross section of employees from different groups. We were on this committee, and basically the administration really presented to us what they and their consultant were going to do. You know, they kind of really were wondering maybe on advice on how to communicate this change. But we weren't a committee in the sense that we had no role in planning how they were going to do it, who they were going to pick to be their bookmakers, or what the strategy was. There was no votes taken. It was, yeah, it was, you know, I think the process was pretty much figured out by the time we had meetings, and we only really had a couple of Zoom meetings. You Yeah, and so they have an outside expert who helped them. So we asked a lot of questions because people were asking a lot of questions. There's a lot of skepticism and worry. So we did ask a lot of questions. If we were, I assume we got the true answers. And so basically the point was that the university was trying to find a way to expand your options for picking funds and your investment tools. And at the same time, they would just have one bookkeeper instead of two. And then hopefully that would reduce also the overall fees. And so my understanding is that they would have had bids probably from Fidelity and TIAA to get that business, and they would pick, obviously they probably picked the one that came out with the lowest fees. So frankly, I guess, the administrators and the executives of the university all basically use the same tools that we do. So it was probably in the best interest of all university employees to maybe improve the system a bit. I've used the website a little bit just to get my account established. I haven't gone in and navigated to see how to direct my new contributions yet. But I believe as of right now, everybody's current contributions are going into a default sort of investment account. And if you want to change that, you'll have to actively go in there, figure out how to do that. And that's something I got to do too. And that's the extent of my knowledge.
But when you were serving in the committee, they didn't listen to your input. That's what you are telling us?
Well, sure they did. I mean, we asked questions and we gave you could give input and advice, but they had a consulting company that specializes in helping places do this. That group was already there. And they're getting advised on how to modernize the management of their retirement investment system. It was probably a little archaic in some ways, fair enough, compared to what can happen now. But basically, some of us had TIAA, some of us had Fidelity. I was a Fidelity user before. So Fidelity were the funds that I used, and they were also the bookkeeper of my funds. But the company that's the bookkeeper for your investment funds, handling where all the money goes and giving us the website, etc., you don't have to be restricted to just their funds. So technically now I can still use some Fidelity funds and somebody else's funds and some funds that TIAA have. And we should just have the one bookkeeper. So they, instead of having two, they've decided to let them compete for being the one bookkeeper. And so my understanding is they've selected TIAA. And I mean, I think this was all going to happen anyway. But they had the committee. The committee, asked some questions. Maybe we gave them some feedback on how they should educate us about it. I think they could have educated people about it a little bit more simply, but it is what it is. So in the end, it's not something we get to control. So
no, I know we cannot control our content.
Yeah. And I don't know if anybody else has played around in the funds yet and found what the management tools are like. The Fidelity one was always pretty straightforward for me to pick funds and do things. I'm hoping it's going to be that way in this new bookkeeping website, but I haven't had time to play with it yet.
And Lori and Kara, I don't know anybody who was on the bargaining team in 2021. I actually think the advisory member to that committee, that didn't even used to exist prior to 2021. We had that added in. We didn't even have that say before. So that was to at least get us to be part of the conversation, even if it was sort of after the fact.
Yep. So there was people there from the CT group, etc., all the employment groups, and they were concerned about, telling us how they were going to do it. I don't know what led them to decide they needed to shake it up. I figure they hired a consultant, and one day their consultant told them that they're spending probably too much money managing it, and they should probably hire them as a consultant again and they'd help them change it. So, yeah. I don't really think the university always needs to have a consultant help them do that. I figure we have some high paid VPs that probably could manage that process, but that's how it went.
Mike, can we backtrack in the questions a bit? Alexander
Sure.
had asked more generally about when we were talking about the constitutional grievances, what were the contract issues there? If you could just.
Oh, sure. There were the many of those surrounded the use of surrounded shared governance. And in fact, almost all of them were a result of deans being hired and hitting the ground on campus with the thought that they could essentially do whatever they wanted. None of them seemed to be aware that they were dealing with a collectively bargained faculty with an agreement that they were bound to as an employee of Oakland. All of those deans are currently saying that they are in fact adhering to the agreement. The provost office said that they had developed at least a manual, if you will, for deans that sort of told them that these are the things that you can and you cannot do. Not sure why they needed another manual when we have a perfectly good one that says faculty agreement on the front. But that's what they chose to do. But there now is evidently an official onboarding process for new deans. I guess it remains to be seen if there's going to be an official onboarding process for a new provost.
At this point, the official onboarding process is us filing grievances.
Yeah, that seems to be the way.
So Alexander is then asking more specifically what they do
Oh.
against the contract.
Oh, well, it was, some of it was varied. There was one dean that decided to essentially rewrite the Constitution. There was another one who decided that he wanted nothing to do with the faculty assembly and gave that role to another person in the school. Things like that. Could you come up with a couple of examples, Amy?
I think the important thing is that the contract protects each school and the college's constitution and their bylaws. So all of these deans were violating the constitution or the bylaws in some way, shape, or form. Several of them said they hadn't read their school's constitutions, which, I mean, I don't know if you've read your school's constitutions, but a lot of them are like 4 pages long. So that's where most of those grievances came from, was not following the constitutions of their schools, which are protected by the contract.
Did that answer your question, Alexander? Amy? Are the grievances available? I mean, do we make them available? I don't
Nope.
recall that we have in the past.
I don't think we have in the past. I think, Alexander, if you want to come meet with me, I'll go through them with you, but I don't think historically we have made those public documents, because I wish Jen was here to answer this question, because I think sometimes when we do a resolution of a grievance, I don't know the legal terms. I think sometimes Jen said we don't want to make that public because it upsets Oakland. But then again, I don't know. I would have to ask Jen Thor, and I can follow back up with you more specifically, Alexander, because I am not the grievance officer.
Okay, anything else anyone wants to bring up? Julia.
Hi, I just wanted real quick to go back to the notes thing and mention that I would be interested in looking at how they're handling the copyright, because if they're recording the professor's copyrighted lectures, then they're owning the copyright, not the professor. So hopefully that's being addressed in the grievance there.
Oh, it absolutely is. Yes.
Yeah. So I, as the copyright person, I would be more than happy to talk about that more and look at what they're doing, or at least get some agreement that that's not going to happen and that the professors will still own their copyright. But I just also wanted to share that I'm putting together a memo right now for the union, as well as I was going to send it to the provost. I don't know if it'll get there before she leaves, but regarding the issue of faculty having to pay to publish in open access journals and not having support for that. A colleague of mine and we did a study and surveyed the faculty, and we have some data to share with you. So we'd like to get that to you before bargaining. So you will be getting that from us shortly.
Thank you.
That's good, because I know when we met with your unit, we sort of talked about we need numbers. So that's great that you have the numbers. One of the interesting things we learned in our meeting with administrators yesterday was that DSS, in fact, has a very elaborate, well-articulated permission form, because there have been in cases in the past, some students have been allowed to have computers in the classroom for accommodation reasons, and they made them sign this disclaimer form that articulated all the things you just talked about, Julia. Yet it didn't occur to them that maybe they needed to use that in the context of Glean. They slid it over to the table and they're like, here, we have this. And we're like, did you use it? And they're like, nope. So yes, that's definitely a big part of the issue here for sure.
Any other issues anyone would like us to discuss? Okay. Hearing none, just a couple of things to wrap up this meeting, and you can use the rest of the hour to go out and enjoy the sunshine. We have a well, actually, we had a labor panel event yesterday. It was very well attended. It was if you were not there, you missed a very good one. This labor panel event, we had some speakers from the UAW and from Eastern Michigan and Pontiac government. There is the AIUP chapter has a community engagement scholarship for students. It's a $3,000 scholarship that they can apply to tuition. That the deadline for this is March 31st. And I believe, Amy, there's going to be another call for this going out in email.
There will be, and I
Before
might extend it by a week, because at last night's event, we had several OU-YDSA members and student Congress folks who I know are going to apply, but what's going to happen is that they have not asked you all for their letters yet. So like Cody, I'm looking at you. I know someone's going to ask you for a letter, and I don't want you to have 3 days to write a letter. So I think we might extend it by a week, but I'll send another blast out. But this is a good opportunity because, you know, most of your students are involved in community engagement in some way, shape, and or form. So.
Okay, just going in order of the remaining things for winter 2024, we have a happy hour scheduled on April 10th, which I believe is a Wednesday, starting at 5:30 at the Red Ox. Just the time for people to get together and yeah, just sort of talk and get together just before the semester ends. We have a bargaining kickoff event on April 16th at noon in the OC, banquet rooms A and B. And again, this is going to be an event. We've not had one of these before. This should be a fun event where we can get together, show our solidarity. There'll be some speakers, some cool swag, a little bit of food. It will be a good time. And the last advisory forum meeting is going to be on the 18th. There you go, Ken. Please head over to the OU Research Student posters in the OC after this meeting. And there might be some free snacks there too.
And just a reminder, we already did remind folks about this in advisory forum, but during bargaining years, we do often have advisory forum meetings over the summer. They're even easier now that we're virtual. But that is a good sort of, besides the bargaining diary and any information that's coming from the bargaining team to everyone, advisory forum folks should just keep an eye out for that. And then hopefully they will convey that information to their units during the summer, during bargaining.
Alexander?
Good afternoon. When we invite seminar speakers, why is it not possible to pay for their expenses out of lab funds?
When you say lab funds, do you mean research lab funds?
Yes.
I guess it would really depend on whether it was listed as, if you listed that as a line item from the granting agency, that should be okay. If it's not listed as an expense that for those grant monies, then they're probably not going to allow that.
So if it is, for instance, lab startup funds, because what happened would just preposterous, because I had to pay for the speaker whom I invited for his travel out of pocket.
Okay. And did you go ahead?
Yeah, and I was told that no, the department doesn't have funds, and no, you cannot pay out of your startup or whatnot. So I end up paying for the speaker who presents at the seminar, which the seminar is also a class students are supposed to attend. And I think that this is, I don't know how to describe it.
Did you receive, I mean, did you talk to for instance, the dean's office and see if the dean's office would have given you money for this?
No, I haven't talked.
Okay. Typically that's the first place I go for stuff like this, would be the dean's office. I would have also, I guess, have gotten those arrangements in place before inviting someone. If it was, let me ask you, if you knew those funds would not be available, would you invited the speaker to come?
I didn't know that, and of course nothing was happening. I remember that I was asking the department if I would be able to use lab startup if there is no departmental funds, and I was told yes, when it came like a week before the speaker were to come. I was told, oh, by the way, no, you cannot. And if you want, then pay out of pocket.
So you were told that you could do this?
Yes.
And then do you have that in writing? Was it like in an email?
No.
Get everything in writing.
Well, I'm probably just too stupid to assume some decency in people, even at the level of the department chairs. But I just want to make you aware that, after all, I pay out of pocket for the department seminar, which is also a class. Simple as that.
Okay, thank you. Sumi?
Oh, just a suggestion. Since we are going in the summer and bargaining will start, and I brought it up in the advisory committee, but it's a good place to bring in the general body meeting. If things doesn't go our way, I think the better communication from the negotiation team or Amy should be to the BAFAM, because I don't think strike is a good idea. It doesn't work well, and it's always in a negative vibe it gets from the administration. So you guys should decide on some backup plan and have it in the books what we should do. Because waiting till August and advisory committee can meet, but a lot of people are not on campus because we are 9 months salary, so they take off. Even in School of Health Sciences, few people are there, and I'm not sure they check their email or not. So a document or some kind of email should come out, which didn't come out. Bargaining diaries, not everybody reads it. So I would like a communication that how it is going to the union membership and potentially what can happen towards July. I think it's necessary because all of us are due paying members and they have a right to know how it's going, right?
Okay, and we'll certainly pass that along to the communications team.
Thank you. Yeah.
But a couple of points. First of all, is that we are not the only people at the table, so we do not control unilaterally how the pace of bargaining. We have never planned on a strike as a primary strategy. A strike is always the last resort if everything else has failed.
Well, I was just saying that rather than strike, I brought it up. Maybe we should just resign from all the committees, university. That way we can teach classes, but the university won't function. That's more effective way of doing business rather than not showing up for class 2 weeks and court order makes us go there. It's always a negative effect throughout the campus, right? So, and the tuition is high. So all I'm saying, the EC should have some strategy how to go about this, because till the last minute, I've been through 4 bargaining or 5. It always to the last moment, things doesn't go the way we wanted, right? And never I seen from 2005 that everything we asked for got it or they came to the table. So all I'm saying is not wait till the last moment.
Trust me, Sumi, that it is not our choice to wait till the last moment.
I'm not blaming you that it's not your choice, but we should have a plan. If it doesn't go, this is what we're going to do, or ask the faculty to do. That's all I'm asking.
Okay, thank you. I will pass that along.
Sumi, can I ask you a question what you mean about communication?
Communication is like a document, which is, this is the status, because I can tell the faculty, I can write an email and send it to HS body, but things get lost. So it will be nice to have, like, you are updating us a document, like a bullet point, what you are telling us, the negotiation team, to the advisory group, so they can send it to the BAFA member of their department.
I'm just trying to understand how that's different than the bargaining diary. I'm just trying to understand what
the bargaining diary. So why meet with the advisory group then? The bargaining diary is just a broad sense. You are telling us what's going on, right? But you are just said that you should communicate with your department advisory representative, right? So I'm just saying the document will be better, like bullet points, what you are saying to us, so we can send it to the BAFA.
Okay, I think I understand your point. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Okay, thank you. Once again, if anything comes up, please contact any member of the executive committee. If it's something that we need to pay attention to, especially if we need to pay attention to it quickly. And have a very pleasant end of the semester. Hope all your classes and things wrap up smoothly. Try to get outside this afternoon and enjoy the sunshine, and have a very pleasant rest of the day. Thank you.